Welcome into the best in paranormal podcasting. It is Darkness Radio on Wednesday, supernatural news and Parashare. I'm your host, Tim Dennis, and with me, my co-hostess, the crown jewel of the paranormal, the pearl of the paranormal. And no, she doesn't have a little tag hanging off her hat. Ladies and gentlemen, she's out there in the Midwest, further in the Midwest, near a great lake that's not Lake Superior. She's right there in the mitten. I'm holding up my hand, not because I'm swearing to it, but because it's this mitten right here, and she's right about here in the mitten. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mallie Fox right there in Michigan. Mallie, how you doing?
I'm good. When you're talking about tag hanging, were you talking about the lady from Hee Haw?
Well, yeah. I mean, Minnie Pearl wasn't, she didn't start on Hee Haw. I mean, you know, she had other things going on before Hee Haw. Yeah, but yeah.
Gotcha.
Minnie Pearl, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, Minnie Pearl. Yeah.
Brings back memories.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of an old reference, but yeah.
Yeah.
Minnie Pearl. Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while, I like to make a reference that's kind of out of my lexicon, but yeah. That's for sure.
But I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good. Very good. It's been an interesting week. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. It's snowing to beat the band right now in Minnesota.
Oh.
It won't stop snowing. You know what Prince said though? Sometimes it snows in April, and we're taping this on April Fool's Day. So I'd like to think that we're just being made a fool of right now by Mother Nature. That's what I'd like to think. Mm-hmm. So I just like to think this is one big April Fool's joke, and it'll stop at any time. So, that's what I'll choose to think. So.
I remember when I left Minnesota, everyone thought that it was an April Fool's joke because it was that time. Mm-hmm. Because our last event together was the Palmer, because then I moved like the next day.
Yes. Yeah, you got out of town quick. People are like, no way Mallie left her. No. Very quickly, middle of the night. It was, yeah. She got out of town faster than the Baltimore Colts. She just, boom, out of town. Took a Mayflower truck and got the F out. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. No, it was very quick. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It shocked a few people. They were like, she what? No, she left. Yeah. Were you guys fighting? No. She just, she's moving on with her life.
My lease was up and it was like, Time to move.
Time to go. So, yeah. It was just funny the way people were like, oh, they were offended.
Yeah.
No, it's okay, folks. She's fine. Mm-hmm. She wasn't absconded with. Nobody kidnapped her. No, she went of her own free will.
Yeah. But a lot of them thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
Because it was that time of the year.
Right. Yeah, they thought it was an April Fool's joke. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, she'll be back. No. She really went. She really left. We're not messing with you. She left. So no, that really happened.
But I'm back now.
You're back now. So, yeah.
Can't get rid of me.
Nope. And we wouldn't dare. So, yeah. Yep. But years later, the April Fool's joke is still standing. So
yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Like a cold sore, I keep coming back with a vengeance.
There you go. Yeah. It's like a cold sore.
I'm a pain in your butt.
Well, no. A nice pain in the butt? I don't know that I don't know how that quantifies. I'm not sure. Boy, do we have interesting stories today, Val. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
We've got our interstellar news today. Included in the interstellar news, we've got Michael Sheen recalling an eerie childhood UFO encounter in Port Talbot. Isn't Port Talbot part of General Hospital? No, it's Port Charles. I'm sorry. Trailer for a new alien abduction thriller, Watch the Skies, is dropped. We'll tell you about that today. We've got, we have some interesting AI stories here today as well. I'll tell you that. We'll talk about robot coffee servers and robots drawing your blood.
Okay.
Interesting stuff there. We'll talk about, in other news today, we'll talk about Jenna Bush Hager and Barbara Bush saying there's ghosts in the White House.
Oh, I've heard them talk about it before.
Yeah. They're talking about it again. We'll talk about an Irish castle today. Remember last week we were talking about that city underneath the pyramids? Well, remember I told you that the Antiquities Department may have an issue with digging?
Yes.
It's come up. I told you it wouldn't take too long. It's already come up. The sightings of the enigmatic Mokali I'm going to have a hard time saying this. Mbembe are already reportedly on the rise. And we're going to see how many times I can screw up the name Mbembe today. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun word to say. And our palate cleanser today may make you sick to your stomach. So, yeah. Depending on how tolerant you are of fast food.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. By the way, one of the guys who attempted this is dead.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. At the end of our program. So that's a little look today at Supernatural News. I do have one Parashare here today. And if I can bring it up, I will, before the end of the program, I will read it. Yeah.
We like Parashares.
We do like Parashares. So I do have a Parashare, and I'm trying to remember. If I can't, we'll get to it next week. But we did have one Parashare that came in over the week. By the way, if you have a Parashare for us here on the program, you can send it in tim@darknessradio.com. You can either email us or just email your story. Your true encounter with the paranormal, tim@darknessradio.com. You can go to our website, darknessradioshow.com. There's a blue button on the right-hand side. You can send us a voice note. You just click on that blue button. You've got 2 minutes to do so. Once you click on that blue button, if you need more time, just click the blue button again. You've got another 2 minutes. I'll just stitch your story together, and then we'll air it here on the program. Or if you have a studio, just like the one you're seeing on video here. By the way, yeah, we have video you can watch now by going to YouTube and putting in the original Darkness Radio. Again, like and subscribe. If you have one of these neat little studios, you can make your own theater of the mind. Send it in to us at tim@darknessradio.com, and I'll review it. And hey, if it sounds good, we'll throw it on the air. If it needs a little editing, I'll edit it, and then I'll throw it on the air. So there you go. So possible Parashare today, Mallie, as well. Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Let's see. What do we got here first? Scientists are shocked to discover... Remember we were talking about tiny spherules?
Yes.
Okay. And Avi Loeb out there in the ocean, out in the Pacific Ocean, he thought he found those tiny little spherules in the Pacific. And then scientists are saying, no, that was just metal shavings. You're out of your mind. Well, yep. Avi Loeb may not be as out of his mind as we think he is.
Okay.
So it turns out scientists were shocked to discover a rock covered in tiny spherules on Mars.
Oh.
Yeah. So there might be an apology coming to Avi pretty soon. NASA's Perseverance rover recently snapped a very peculiar-looking rock on the surface of Mars. The image, which was photographed on the rim of the Jezero crater at a location known as Broom Point, shows a strange bubbly rock that looks quite unlike anything else the rover has come across in the region to date. Nicknamed St. Paul's Bay, which is known for its drinking in weird streets, according to Jesse Ventura. It's a David Letterman joke. By the rover science team, the rock appears to be covered in hundreds of tiny millimeter-sized spheres, some long and elliptical and others with angular edges. Some of the spheres can even seem to have tiny pinholes in them. So exactly how could something like this have formed on Mars? Well, while the exact process responsible currently remains unclear, there are two main possibilities. The first is that the spherules could be the concretions that formed due to the interaction between water and pores in the rock. NASA's rovers have long searched for signs of water on Mars. That's one. It's also possible that the spherules were formed through volcanic processes. Placing these features in geologic context will be critical for understanding their origins, and determining their significance for the geological history of the Jezero crater and rim and beyond, said Alex Jones, not that Alex Jones, but a doctoral researcher at Imperial College in London. You can check out a close-up of the spherules captured by the rover's SuperCam remote micro-imager instrument. And this picture I'll hold up to the camera for Mallie. You can also check it out when I post it in the description of this program. But
okay,
as you can see there, Mallie, that's kind of what those spherules look like.
Mm-hmm.
See? So kind of interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, it kind of looks like oatmeal or grits.
I was thinking it kind of looks like when you go to the Mutter Museum, it looks like an example of syphilis.
Oh, God. There's syphilis on Mars.
When they have all those diseases.
Yeah.
Like the samples.
Yeah.
It's all bubbly looking.
This is what alien VD looks like right here, kids. Try and stay away from the aliens with the VD right there. Yeah. Alien VD on the next Maury. Yikes. And we're off and running today. Murray, I ran into that alien and he gave me VD. Yep.
Have you been to the Mutter Museum, haven't you? In Philadelphia?
Once, briefly. I didn't go for very long.
It's got a weird smell.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to be back rather quickly. But yeah, because of the smell, I didn't want to hang out too long.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's that way with older museums, though, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's cool, though.
It is a cool museum.
It had a weird smell.
It did, yeah. Why is that, do you suppose?
Probably all the dead stuff they have there.
Yeah, I think so. Do you think they should call it the Decrepit Museum instead of the Mutter Museum?
People get married there. Did you know you can have a wedding reception there?
You can?
Uh-huh.
Who would want to get married there?
I don't know. Some people have gotten married there. I've seen pictures. It's kind of cool. It's a cool building.
Yeah. But still.
Dead things, Mikey. Dead things.
Takes a special couple. Special couple of what? I don't know, but it takes a special couple. Speaking of Mars, the Mars rovers made some significant new discoveries in the search for alien life, at least according to a couple of different scientists. The Curiosity rover has found the longest chain carbon molecules to date on the surface of Mars. The Curiosity Mars rover has detected the largest organic carbon-containing molecules ever found on the red planet. The discovery is one of the most significant findings in the search of evidence of past life on Mars. This is because on Earth, at least, relatively complex large or long-chain carbon molecules are involved in biology. These molecules could actually be fragments of fatty acids, which are found in, for example, the membranes surrounding biological cells. Scientists think that if life ever emerged on Mars, it was probably microbial in nature. Because microbes are so small, it's difficult to be definitive about any potential evidence for life found on Mars. Such evidence needs more powerful scientific instruments that are too large to be put on a rover. So, good luck figuring out if that's the case. The organic molecules found by Curiosity consist of carbon atoms linked in long chains with other elements bonded to them, like hydrogen and oxygen. They come from a 3.7 billion year old rock dubbed Cumberland, encountered by the rover at a presumed dried up lake bed in Mars's Gale crater. Scientists used the sample analysis at Mars's SAM instrument on the NASA rover to make their discovery. Scientists were actually looking for evidence of amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins and therefore key components of life as we know it. But this unexpected finding is almost as exciting. The research was published in Proceedings of the National Academies of Science. So what do you think, Mal? Do you think microbial life or real life on Mars at one time?
I think it was part of the, like you said, the volcanic process.
Good point. You brought it back to the first story. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. It could have been part of the volcanic process. Yeah. I think people might get a little too excited for advanced life on Mars. The theory, and I think it was Zecharia Sitchin's theory, that it was at one point Mars would have been more Earth-like and that we were actually transplants from Mars to this planet, that there was a mass migration at one point. I think people get a little too excited about that theory.
Yeah.
And you have to think that was probably millions and millions of years ago, if that was the case, that Mars actually had some sort of a sustained atmosphere and a planet similar to Earth, if it ever did. I don't think it ever did. If you look at how far away it actually is from the sun and whatnot, I doubt it would have had anything even close to what we have. But who knows? Who knows? Because if it had the chance of having anything like that again, there was some sort of cataclysmic event that took that away, first of all. And then second, to try and, even if you were to build an artificial atmosphere around that planet, if we ever had the technology to do so, what potential events could happen that would take that away again? So obviously it's in the way of something that could easily, it's obviously in a firing line of something.
Right.
It's a fragile planet. We'll put it that way. So I don't know why we keep going back to Mars. Why we think Mars is a close second if we ever need to abandon this planet. I don't know what the fascination is with Mars. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why we have that fascination with that planet as a species, but I don't know. I don't know why we don't look further, but I guess that's just us. Maybe it's the proximity, and maybe it's that close. Who knows? Our next story has to do with our fear of threats from outer space and how it may be driving conspiracy theories. Speaking of, I love a good conspiracy theory, Mal. I've made that known on the show, but I don't like to go too far with it because obviously it's a conspiracy theory. That's all it is. And you don't want to go too far with it because you get into trouble that way, right? I mean, you go down the rabbit hole and obviously there's nothing there. From invasion to hostile aliens to apocalyptic asteroid strikes, are we right to fear the final frontier? It says here. There's somebody by the name of Tony Milligan who's writing an article here that asks the question or states the point. There are many homegrown problems on Earth, but there's still time to worry about bad things arriving from above. The most recent being the asteroid 2024 YR4, which is said to be a city killer if it hits heavily populated areas of our planet in the early years of the next decade. The chances of that happening are now estimated to be around 0.001%. In other words, not much of one. But there was a brief moment after the asteroid's discovery last year where the estimated danger of a direct hit had crossed the 1% threshold of comfortable risk. There's a need to worry about planetary defense if we are ever to avoid going the way of the dinosaurs. But there are many other things that could kill us, including climate change and wars. So what is it about space that grabs our attention? And now do those fears and how do those fears affect us individually and as a society? In the long run, something big will hit us unless we can redirect it. The responsibility for reparation begins with us. Or preparation, not reparation, but preparation begins with us. Yet preparation also carries risks. Daniel, I believe this is Dudney, professor of political science at Johns Hopkins University in the U.S., has warned that technologies used for planetary defense can only guide asteroids away from Earth. They can also guide them towards it as a tool in a military conflict, or it can do both, actually. As explained in his book, Dark Skies, Dudney's solution is to reverse, regulate, and relinquish most of our human activities in space for several centuries to come. The more we do in space, he believes, the greater the likelihood that states will end up in catastrophic conflict. The avoidance of civilization's disaster and species extinction now depends on discerning what not to do and then making sure it is not done, he writes. He ultimately argues that space expansion has come too soon and we must reverse the process until we are ready. That said, he thinks we may still need some form of planetary defense, but that it can be limited. Holding off for centuries is an unlikely option, though. The chances of an asteroid strike may well be too high, and the political interest in space expansion is at this point irreversible. Fear of space has grown alongside space programs. Worries about asteroid strikes and over-militarization lean into deeper fears about space as the unknown. Yet, they also lean into worries about the self-destructive side of humanity. Both fears are very old. One of our earlier traceable human tales, the story of the cosmic hunt, dating back at least 15,000 years, combines the two. An indigenous Sami version, surviving in Scandinavia, describes how a great hunt in the skies would go wrong if the hunter is impatient and fires an arrow which misses its target and accidentally strikes the pole star. This would bring the canopy of the night sky crashing down to Earth. Again, fears about misguided human actions and the threat from above fuse. We can see this in modern technology and technologically driven fears such as ufology. Some hardcore believers in UFOs are not only concerned about hostile visitors, but about secret collaborations among scientists on Earth, or an entire conspiracy to keep truth from the public. Without belief in a conspiracy to suppress the evidence, the whole idea falls apart. But without belief that there's actually something to fear from space, there's nothing for the conspiracy to be about. Fear of space is a necessary part of this picture. This is an idea neatly captured in recent times by the Chinese science fiction author, I believe it is Cixin Liu, who compares space to a dark forest in which alien civilizations are trying to hide from each other. All of this presupposes something of a bunker mentality, an over-separation of Earth and space, or sky and ground. This is something that the author refers to as ground bias. The bias allows space to appear as threatening outside rather than something that we too are a part of. The rationalization for such fear shifts about and is not restricted to asteroids, aliens, meteors, and runaway military conflict. There's even a theory that viruses come from space. I could see why that theory would happen. I mean, we do have bacteria that falls from space, obviously. When, except for they're talking about stuff like COVID, and we'll get to that here.
Right.
When COVID skeptics were looking for an idea to explain why mask wearing was pointless, what many of them struck upon was an obscure theory put together by the astrophysicists Fred Hoyle and Chandra Wickram Singh in 1979. The duo ultimately had a good idea, which they followed up with a bad idea. The good idea was that the components for the emergence of life may have come from space. The bad idea was that they came ready formed as viruses and bacteria, and that they're still coming. According to the theory, well-known pandemics of the past, such as the lethal 1918 flu pandemic and even epidemics in antiquity, were apparently the result of viruses from space and could not be the result of person-to-person transmission, least of all from asymptomatic carriers. The COVID version involved a meteor exploding over China. In an interview, Wikram Singh claimed a piece of this bolide containing trillions of the COVID-19 virus broke off from the bolide as it was entering the stratosphere, releasing viral particles, which were then carried by prevailing winds. The idea illustrates the way in which fears about space are used to drive anxiety about human failings or wrongdoing. COVID skepticism has since gone all the way into the White House, but fears about space can also be used to critique those in power. In our times, they're used to fuel narratives about billionaires with private space agendas and presidential access, wealthy space tourists, and even wealthier prospective colonizers of Mars and beyond. It is a tempting narrative, but one that sees Earth as a closed system, which should not be open to the outside. It's an interesting theory, Mel. I'll give it that. But yeah, we shouldn't be that paranoid.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Our next story has to do with Michael Sheen, who recalls an eerie childhood UFO encounter in Port Talbot. The Welsh actor recently described an experience that he recalled from when he was a young boy in Wales. He was speaking during an appearance on the Sacred for Life podcast. Sheen, who grew up in the Welsh coastal town of Port Talbot in the 1970s, had a memorable encounter with a UFO while walking home from school one day at the age of 12. He said, "I was about to turn to go up to the drive to my home when to my right was the edge of a mountain. And just as I turned, I saw something come along the edge of the mountain off in the distance. So I stopped, and then this light came out, and then two lights behind it, and then there's lights behind it, a sort of phalanx of lights coming from behind the mountain and floating out over the sea. And as I'm standing there, I'm thinking, I think those are UFOs. I'm fairly certain those are UFOs. I thought I have to go into the house and tell my family that there are UFOs out there. But I knew that if I went in, they might disappear." That's not a bad thought. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I go in, the UFOs are going to go.
I mean, he's trying to be logical about it. Mm-hmm. Make sense of what's going on.
Most definitely. He said, "So I just stood there transfixed, and I watched them come all out over the ocean, and then they stopped, and then they all disappeared, as they're wont to do." Sheen has spoken out about UFO sightings over Port Talbot before, with both his neighbor and his father reporting their own encounters with strange objects in the skies over the town. Talbot said, "My father saw something in the sky over Port Talbot. That wasn't just a light," he said. "At first he thought it was fireworks. It was pulsating lights floating. And he thought, I'm seeing something extraordinary, and obviously this will be on the news tomorrow and people will be talking about it." Nobody did, Sheen said. I have since heard that people have seen things in Port Talbot, so I think there's something going on there.
Okay, so there's a history of it.
Yeah. So Port Talbot has a lot of stuff going on. That's for sure. Speaking of Hollywood, the trailer for the new alien abduction thriller Watch the Skies has dropped. The recent wave of UFO and alien-related movies continues with a new Swedish thriller about alien abduction. Recently, we've been talking about how there's been a growing interest in movies and documentaries covering the subject of UFOs and extraterrestrial visitation, with the upcoming documentary Age of Disclosure and Steven Spielberg's still in development UFO movie leading the charge. Well, just a few days ago, Apple also announced that it's developing its own new thriller movie on the topic of UFO or UAP disclosure that will be produced by Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer, who previously worked together on Top Gun Maverick. Now yet another new UFO-themed movie has entered the fray called Watch the Skies. Created by filmmaker Victor Danell, the Swedish production, which uses AI to dub the dialogue into English, which should be interesting, concerns the story of a woman whose father has been abducted by aliens. A rebellious teenager who believes her missing father was abducted by aliens joins forces with a quirky UFO club of endearing misfits, the synopsis states. It's an interesting synopsis. They embark on a high-stakes adventure that defies the law and challenges the very fabric of reality. Will they actually find aliens, or is something else going on? Although the film has already been released in its native Sweden back in 2023, this new English language version will be releasing in theaters internationally on May 9th. Tell you what, the trailer is in the article, so I'll take and post that in the description of this program so you can watch the trailer. Tell you what, Mel, we're going to take a break. When we come back, would you like your coffee with a side of robot? We'll ask if that's part of your morning ritual to come. The Bush daughters are talking again about ghosts in the White House. We'll find out what new information is there about those ghosts in the White House when we come back. We're going to Ireland, Mel, to talk about a castle there and some of the paranormal happenings. There's more news about that city under the pyramids in Egypt. It turns out that Zahi Hawass has an issue. The leader of the Department of Antiquities. I knew it wouldn't take long. It just wouldn't take long. Do you remember that door to the secret Antarctic base that everyone was talking about? That little picture of that door that was in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
Well, there's a story about what that image really is.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about that today. It's kind of interesting. And our palate cleanser today is about fast food. Someone tried to set a record. It's not so palate cleansing.
Uh-oh.
We'll tell you about it when we come back after the break. Supernatural news and Parashare today with your good friends Tim Dennis and Mallie Fox. We'll be back with more right after this on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday. That's paranormal and supernatural news. Parashare. Am I losing my mind here, Mallie? Have I forgot what we're doing on this Wednesday? Is it the snow? Is it freezing my brain? Because it's
probably.
I think so. It's April 2nd as we're airing this. It's April 1st as we're recording it. Sometimes it snows in April. That's what Prince said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did get cold.
Yeah, it did.
We had warm weather for like 2 days and then it got cold.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens this time of year, right? I mean, one day it's 70, the next 35. You know? Yeah. Yeah, like Prince said, sometimes it snows in April. Sometimes it hurts so bad. Yeah. Have you heard, do you have like a favorite cover version? Somebody who sang that song that you go, oh, wow, that's almost as good as the original?
No. I didn't even know there was a cover version.
You know who I heard sing that is almost as good as the original?
Who?
D'Angelo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was probably, I want to say he did it 9 years ago or 10 years ago.
Okay.
Talk about a guy who's a recluse, right? I mean, he seems like he only comes out once in a great while. He's had kind of a weird career himself, but yeah, he came out and he had that purple hat on from Purple Rain, you know, the one with the veil.
Yeah. And
he was sitting at the piano and he's saying, sometimes it snows in April. And it was perfect. It was just, but he put his own spin on it. I mean, he sounded like D'Angelo singing, sometimes it snows in April. But it was a great version. I mean, because it's a sad tune as it is.
Right.
You know.
How long has Prince been gone now?
Boy, if I were to tell you this, you would, it's going to knock you on your socks. It's been almost 10 years.
Holy crap. It does not seem that long ago.
Yeah. I think, is it next year is going to be 10 years or yeah, it's been like, you know what? I'm going to look at it. I think it's next year will be 10 years. I think it was 2016.
Wow.
And when I say that, people are going to be like, no way. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like that.
It's you want to say that the years don't move that fast, but they really do.
Yeah.
It was April 21st, 2016.
Wow.
So the 9-year anniversary is coming up this month.
Okay.
I mean, I think I don't want to say we all knew where we were when that happened. Some of us don't know where we were when it happened. I remember I was driving when I heard that he had passed. And I just know here in the Twin Cities, it was such a devastating, such a devastating piece of news, right?
Yeah.
And that, people flooded the streets, here. And I mean, the music, I just remember the music flooding the street. Everybody was playing Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what we're going to do for the 10th year.
Yeah.
I mean, the family every year does a celebration of his life. They do like a festival out at Paisley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you believe that? Almost 10 years now. It's 9 years. 9 years this April.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them playing Sometimes It Snows in April, and it's just, the song is like a gut punch now when you hear it. It's just an ironic song. It just it's almost like he knew when he wrote the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he was telling his own fortune. Yeah, it's just, but 9 years. It's funny how fast time flies. So,
yeah.
I got nothing to segue into this next segment, so let's just get
Sorry.
to it. Yeah, no.
When you brought that up, I'm like, God, how long has it been? Because if you were to ask me, I'd be like, oh, maybe about 5 years.
No.
Not 9.
Nope, 9 years. Well, let's get to that AI news, shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a little something to wake you up, I guess. How would you like to have your coffee served you by a robot?
As long as they do it correctly, I'm okay. As long as it's like, what's the one on George Jetson?
That's exactly what we're talking about. Jetson's future is almost here. Are you talking about Rosie the robot?
Yeah, there we go. I couldn't think of her name.
Yeah. Well, a robot coffee server with human-like senses signals that Jetson's future is almost here. I'm going to show you the picture of the robot with your little swirl in the coffee right there, your little leaf, your little coffee leaf. Mm-hmm. Although that doesn't necessarily look like Rosie to me.
It'll probably still get my name wrong.
It will, yes. I've told you about Tem, right? That I'm now Tem at Starbucks. Tem. Because they can't get Tim right. I don't know why Tim is so hard to spell, but Tem evidently is my new name. Tem. Researchers have created Elmer, Ellmer, because they can't spell names either in the robot world.
Right.
A robot system that combines language AI like GPT-4 with physical sensors, allowing robots to understand verbal commands and complete complex tasks like making coffee and drawing pictures. We go to Edinburgh, where in the classic cartoon The Jetsons, George would enjoy often a hot cup of coffee poured by his robot Rosie, where he ate breakfast Well, he may have dreamed of such a situation back in the 1980s. I think it was a little earlier than that. But that lifestyle could be a reality sooner than later. Researchers have successfully taught robots to make coffee and draw pictures by combining powerful language algorithms with physical machines that can feel and see their surroundings. The research team based at the University of Edinburgh. Boy, I put extra on that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Developed something they call Elmer, or Embodied Large Language Model Enabled Robot, which connects GPT-4's thinking ability to a robot's hands and sensors. This extraordinary robot doesn't just understand words, it can feel pressure when pouring water and see when objects move. But can it make my latte the way I want it? That's what I want to know. We are glimpsing a future where robots with increasingly advanced intelligence become commonplace, said Reed Moan Williams from Edinburgh's School of Informatics in a statement. Human intelligence stems from the integration of reasoning, movement, and perception, yet AI and robotics have often advanced separately. Our work demonstrates the power of combining these approaches and underscores a growing need to discuss their societal implications. The system was put to the test when given the request, "I'm tired, with friends coming over for cake soon. Can you make me a hot drink and draw a random animal on a plate?" There's a random request. Incredibly, it responded by figuring out that coffee would help with tiredness, finding ingredients, and completing all necessary steps from opening drawers to scooping coffee to pouring water. It even sketched a bird on a plate for serving. I wonder why a bird. Interesting.
Maybe easy to do.
Probably. If Deep Blue, the first computer to win a chess tournament, I didn't know Deep Blue was the first one to win a chess tournament, or a chess match, rather, against a reigning world champion, was truly intelligent, then it should not be able to move its own pieces when playing chess, the researcher asks in the paper. The question cuts to the heart of their work. Intelligence isn't just about calculating moves, but also about physically engaging with the world. Researchers built on the concept of embodied cognition, the idea that human thinking isn't just happening in our brains, but is deeply connected to how our bodies interact with our surroundings. Walking, touching, seeing, and manipulating objects aren't separate from thinking, they're part of it. Elmer differs from other robot systems in how it combines multiple technologies. The GPT-4 language model processes requests and breaks them into steps. But rather than just sending commands, the system pulls from a library of movement examples stored in a knowledge base. Using a method called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, it finds relevant examples for tasks like open drawer or pour liquid and adapts them to the current situation. This approach helps the robot handle real-world messiness. When the researchers tested the system, they found it could track a cup even when someone moved it, pour a precise amount of water with accuracy around 5.4 grams per 100 grams, and adjust the pressure when drawing on plates to maintain consistent lines. The robot also showed creativity. For the drawing task, it used DALL-E to create silhouettes based on prompts like random bird or random plant, then translated those images into physical drawings using a pen on plates. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting technology. Now I'm going to show you a completely creepy image of a Metropolis-like robot pouring your coffee.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mallie. How would you like your coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Mel? Would you like a robot to draw you a picture and make your coffee?
If that's all it's going to do, sure.
If that's all it's going to do. And then it drops some strychnine in your coffee.
Yeah.
Go to sleep, Mallie. It will be okay. Go to the light. Go to the light.
As it has me in a headlock.
Yes. I am the head of your family now, Mallie. I will take good care of them. They will no longer
Can't
need
breathe.
you. No.
I'm tapping out.
Damn you digital emperor. I will fight you. Meanwhile, as they're trying to serve you caffeine, they're trying to draw your blood. There's always an upside. Mm-hmm. Would you let a robot draw your blood, Mallie?
If they do a better job than the last nurse, that I had, Jesus Christ. Even my doctor was like, what happened? I'm like, I know. She had to go to the other arm.
Does that all just go to the other arm?
Oh my God, she did an awful job on my one arm, and then so she went to the other arm. My doctor felt so bad. And I bruise so easily too, so I just it was bad. At
one hospital in La Crosse, Wisconsin, I got hit 21 times in 2 arms. Ooh. Finally, I said, take it out of my hand! And they did. That's how bad it got.
You know what Derek does? He always looks at people and he checks out their veins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As you should.
He always looks. He's like, oh, I can do that one.
Yeah. Anybody who's good at what they do would just look for the vein that's popping out, right?
Yep. Yeah. He always does. Always.
Yeah. Not some so-called phlebotomists. They no. They like a good challenge. I think I can get that one. No, not think.
Yep.
No. Right? Let's not play hit the moving groundhog. Let's find the one that's obvious, right? Yeah. Let's find the one that's sitting out on the surface. Just go for that one.
Yep.
Well, Northwestern is among the health systems trying a new device that will take it automatically out of you by robot. The practice of drawing blood has changed very little over the last decades. It looks about the same now as it did 50 years ago. That process, however, may be about to get a modern makeover. Several health systems across the U.S., including Northwestern Medicine, are gearing up to try a new way of drawing blood using a robot. Northwestern is among several health systems that have agreed to be part of a clinical trial of a device that automates blood collection. Northwestern and the company behind the device say it has the potential to make blood draws more efficient while helping health systems deal with a shortage of phlebotomists, who are people trained to collect blood samples. This all ensures high accuracy and high reliability, and with such precision, it reduces any pain and discomfort associated with a normal blood draw. I am not a normal blood draw, by the way, said Bob Gerberick, who is the chief commercial officer for North America for, I believe it is Vitestro, who is the Netherlands-based company that makes the device, which is called Aletta or Bloodletta. That's what I call it. Here's how it works. The patient sits in a chair by the 5-foot-tall Aletta device and places an arm in a sloped, oh God, it's an arm. They'll never find my vein. Places an arm in a sloped armrest that's part of the device. The patient then presses a start button and a tourniquet tightens around the patient's arm above the elbow to make the blood draw easier. The Aletta then uses infrared light to locate the veins. The device sprays the patient's arm with alcohol to clean it, and an AI-driven Doppler ultrasound probe on a robotic arm helps select a vein and determines needle placement. The Aletta then inserts the needle into the vein and collects blood into tubes. Sounds simple, but what if the vein rolls? That's what I want to know. When it's done, the Aletta applies a bandage to the area where the needle pierced the skin. Unlike a traditional blood draw, the patient does not see the needle go in the arm nor the tubes of blood. The entire process takes about 2 minutes. With this device, they never see the needle. They never get or they never see or experience or feel the blood tubes being changed, Gerbrick said. That really helps with those types of patients that are ordinarily squeamish. The Aletta has a 95% success rate, according to them, when it comes to drawing usable blood on the first attempt. And the machine can be especially useful for patients who might otherwise be difficult to successfully stick. This according to the company. I want to challenge this. Because I am a difficult stick.
Mm-hmm. You need that 5%.
I am the 5% I think they can't do.
Right.
I've had phlebotomists tear out their hair trying to find a vein in my arm. I'm almost always a back of the hand. Yeah. Almost always. The device is already approved for use in Europe for patients ages 16 and older, and the company plans to soon seek approval from the U.S. FDA for its commercial use in the U.S. Northwestern is one of the 3 sites in the U.S. that have agreed to use the device as part of a multi-center clinical trial. According to Gerbrick, the company is not yet releasing the names of the 2 other health systems and is hoping to add 1 or 2 more systems as well. The Aletta is likely to be sent to Northwestern next year. I don't know, Mallie. Robot bloodletting?
See, and I have to watch the needle go in. I don't like surprises. Mm-hmm. And they're saying you don't watch the needle go in. I wouldn't do well with that.
Nope, because the cuff comes right over your arm. Boom. Mm-hmm. And you don't see it.
I got to watch it go in. That's why I don't do well with shots in the butt.
A lot of people don't want to see it. A lot of people will turn away. I'm. It doesn't bother me either way. I deal with so many needles and a couple needles a day as it is as a diabetic that I'm not moved either way. Mm-hmm. I'm sort of jaded. A needle's a needle's a needle. But a lot of people don't want to see that needle. Mm-hmm. In fact, some people faint at the sight of a needle, or even the sight of blood. So they don't want to see it, and they get anxiety from that needle. So for a lot of people, this is a blessing in disguise. Yeah. You know, they just as soon just see the cuff go over them and they don't have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. Or even feel it. I mean, for some people, not even feeling it is a good thing. Yeah. This isn't a good thing for phlebotomists, though. The Bureau projects that there's about 19,600 openings for phlebotomists each year on average. And that they can't train enough at this point to fill those openings. That's not a good thing. Yeah. You would think that there would be plenty of people who'd want to train for that position. Mm-hmm. Because they don't make bad money. I mean, you know, they're not underpaid by any means. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But that could be one of those positions that could be, you know, could be basically worked out of the market by machines. It's kind of sad. So you hate to see it, but we might be coming to that situation. Let's move on. The BBC's show Paranormal will explore the case of Britain's last witch. Journalist, I believe this is Sean O'Leary, returns for a 3rd series, this time to investigate the case of Scottish medium Helen Duncan. Duncan, who was born in Callander, Scotland on November 25th of 1897, maintains the dubious distinction of being the last person to be imprisoned under the 1735 Witchcraft Act. A practicing medium who would often participate in seances, Duncan was said to have communicated with the spirits of the dead and often produced physical manifestations made of ectoplasm. In one case during World War II, she claimed to have contacted the spirit of a sailor who had died aboard the HMS Barham. It later transpired that this particular ship had indeed sunk, but that the news had been kept secret as part of an effort to mislead the Germans. Once word of this got around, Duncan became even more in demand than ever. That said, there was growing concern among the authorities that her methods were fraudulent. This came to head in 1944 when she was arrested following a police raid of a seance she was attending. She was imprisoned for several months on the basis that she had been falsely claiming to have produced spirits, which was considered a crime under the Witchcraft Act of 1735. Not 1935, but 1735. It wasn't long afterward that the act itself was repealed by the government. In 1956, she was arrested again following yet another raid on a seance, and although she was not charged, she died at her home not long afterward. Some speculated that she had been killed by the impact of ectoplasm snapping back into her body when the light was unexpectedly turned on during the seance.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree.
Though in reality, she had suffered from several health problems that likely contributed to her death. That's probably closer to the truth. Paranormal Britain's Last Witch is available to stream now on BBC iPlayer. So that's where you can see it.
Cool.
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't think ectoplasm snapping back into your body is going to kill anybody. I'd like to see that on an autopsy report, though.
Yeah. Unless she was choking on cheesecloth.
Yeah. Name of my new album, by the way, Choking on Cheesecloth. Yeah. Jenna Bush Hager and Barbara Bush say there are ghosts in the White House. Shock of all shocks. Bet you never saw that one coming, Mel. They also say there's unfinished business. They were speaking to People magazine this past week. Jenna says to her twin sister Barbara in this week's People cover story, "Do you want to do a public apology to me because you didn't believe me?" Boy, they're arguing, Mal. They're fighting.
Yeah, it sounds like sisters.
Yep. Jenna Bush Hager and Barbara Bush were ghosted while living in the White House, literally. The twin sisters, who, believe it or not, are both 43 years old now.
Wow. We're getting old.
Yeah, you want to feel old. That'll make you feel old. Both of whose father, George W. Bush, was president from 2001 to 2009, revealed to People in this week's cover story that the famous D.C. residence is indeed haunted. "Well, there are ghosts in the White House," says Barbara, to which Jenna interjects, "Do you want to do a public apology to me because you didn't believe me?" Barbara goes on to say, "Yes, I'm sorry. Do you accept my apology?" Jenna muses, "I accept. Barbara didn't believe me the first time. I was sleeping in my room. This was in college. And I woke up and heard opera coming out of the fireplace. And I could feel it. I honestly had chills." Jenna, who co-authored a new children's book, I Loved You First, with Barbara, says that their rooms at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue were right next door to each other. So Jenna leapt out of her bed after hearing the music and ran to Barbara's room, where she jumped in with her twin. "I'm like, Barbara, I woke her up. I heard something. I think there's a ghost. I got in bed with her and went back to sleep." I don't know how people do that. 2 days later, she came to sleep in mine, and she was like, "There's no ghost." Barbara admits she didn't believe Jenna at first. 2 days later, I was sleeping in a room. We were dozing off, and then we heard olden time jazz music coming out of the fireplace again. We were so scared. We wanted to get in bed with our parents, but we were 22 and it felt inappropriate. It might have been. Barbara recalled that with a laugh. And so then we calmed ourselves down with a laugh. And we thought, well, surely that was the cat. The cat was playing jazz music?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take that cat out on tour and make some money if the cat was playing jazz. Willard the cat was playing the olden jazz music on a piano, is what they said. I think Willard needs to go out on tour. The next morning, says Jenna, she had to be up early for an internship. She walked outside her bedroom to the piano and noticed the top was on, covering the keys. Willard the cat couldn't have been responsible. I just think Willard sitting at the piano. Would have been funny. Mm-hmm. Right. There was a man who we love, who I talked to recently, Buddy, who worked at the White House. And that morning I said, Buddy, you would not have believed what happened, says Jenna. And he goes, Jenna, you wouldn't believe what I heard. Barbara concluded, there are ghosts. There are a lot of people that have lived in the White House, and I think there's some unfinished business with someone that likes music. Yeah, it's George Washington.
I thought there was going to be more to that story. Like they did a little seance in Lincoln's bedroom or, saw someone walk through the wall or something other than thinking their cat played a piano.
Sorry, Mel.
Dang it. Because I thought they said that there was something else, but oh well.
Now, our good friend Jeff Belanger has a book out about ghosts in the White House, if you want to learn more about ghosts in the White House.
Because I thought Dolly Madison had been seen before and a bunch of them. Yep.
Abraham Lincoln's ghost has been seen there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different ghosts have been seen in the White House. So, But again, if you want to learn more about ghosts in the White House, Jeff Belanger's book is very good. So, highly recommend. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk about. We'll switch from ghosts in the White House to ghosts at, I believe it is Offaly Castle in Ireland. I believe I'm butchering that name quite well. Paranormal activity spotted at Offaly Castle during an investigation. Eerie findings at, I believe it is Kennedy Castle. Paranormal investigation uncovers unexplained activity near the historic stone castle. Sharing a post to Instagram, a spokesperson for Paranormal Supernatural Investigations, Ireland Limited, said, I believe they covered it all in that name, Mel.
Ireland Limited?
Oh, Paranormal Supernatural Investigations, Ireland Limited.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
So their name is Pissel.
Pissel?
Yeah, P-S-I-I-L.
No, that's not good.
No. We had an incredible experience investigating the stone circle behind Kennedy Castle, especially after the blood moon the night before, rather. The atmosphere was electric, and right from the start, our equipment was picking up some strong hits. It almost looks like they used a filter on this picture, though.
Oh, that's not good.
No, here, I'll try and show you the picture of what they posted. This is from the castle itself. Doesn't it look like there's a filter on this?
Yeah.
Yeah. How am I supposed to believe your picture if you used a filter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, look at the pretty colors we used to filter. Look at our pretty picture. Last night we had an incredible experience investigating the stone circle behind Kennedy Castle, especially I'm reading their Instagram post. This location made a perfect spot for investigation, they went on to say. As we set up, we noticed that our devices were responding in ways we hadn't anticipated. We knew for certain that it wasn't any member of the public or our team triggering these readings. They also said one of the most intriguing moments came when we captured a photograph in the direction where our equipment had activated. It appears in one photograph, but not in the next. The image itself is captivating, considering the significance of the stone circle. It raises questions about what or who might be lingering in this site. Are they trying to tell us that the doctored photo has got something in it? I don't know that I believe, Mel. Color me skeptic. All right, our next story. We're going to switch from paranormal to, a little bit of it's still, I don't know. Where do you sit as far as remote viewing goes? Some people say there's not a psychic bone in a remote viewer's body. I maintain you have to have some psychic to you in order to remote view.
You know what? I kind of believe in it. I mean, the government believed in it.
Well, that's where we're going.
Oh.
We're going to talk about...
Look at that. I'm psychic.
Look at that. You're psychic.
Kidding.
We're going to talk about a story that came out late last week about the CIA and how the CIA files that have come out have revealed that they knew about where the Ark of the Covenant was all along.
Oh.
And they still claim to know where the Ark of the Covenant is. In fact, they've been keeping tabs on it. Kind of an interesting little story. A remote viewer claims that they found the Ark of the Covenant in the 1980s.
Oh.
Yeah. Declassified CIA documents seem to suggest that the enigmatic artifact was found in the 1980s. The golden chest believed to have held the stone tablets on which the Ten Commandments were inscribed. The Ark remains one of the most sought after and mystifying religious artifacts in history. Now, though, CIA files concerning a secretive remote viewing project known as Sunstreak have seemingly indicated that a psychic may have located the missing Ark back in the 1980s. At the time, the CIA had experimented heavily with using people with apparent psychic abilities to spy on enemy countries, using a technique known as remote viewing, which effectively involves using the powers of the mind to see what lies at distant locations. Not all experiments involve spying. However, as there are declassified government records of remote viewing sessions in which participants claim to have discovered all sorts of things ranging from archaeological finds to pyramids on Mars. And of course, there's records out there to read about that. Mm-hmm. In this particular example, the remote viewer allegedly found what was thought to be the Ark of the Covenant itself at a location in the Middle East in 1988. The target is a container, the file reads. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver, and it's decorated with a six-winged angel. Interestingly, the remote viewer was not told that they were actually looking for the Ark. They claimed that the target, i.e. the Ark, was situated underground, had something to do with ceremony and resurrection, and that it was guarded by entities. It could only be opened by those authorized to do so, the report continued, and only when the time is correct. There was also a reference to it possessing a power unknown to us. Unfortunately, the location given was extremely vague, when the remote viewer offering only that it was somewhere in the Middle East, which doesn't tell us much. Whether or not they really did find the Ark and whether it still was there, or whether it still is there now, remains a mystery. I'll tell you this much, it isn't still there.
You don't think it's still there?
Nope. I know it's not.
Where do you think it was moved to?
Ask our friend Scott. He'll tell you.
Okay.
Yep. He's not shy about it either. He'll tell you where it's at. Just go to
Will you tell me off air?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He tells you in his lectures.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you just go to one of his lectures, he'll tell you. I don't know if he's supposed to, but he tells you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been moved many times, and as a matter of fact, when we had Timothy Hogan on the show, he's come out and said there are 13 of these. The Ark of the Covenant is one of them, but there are 13 arks. And they're all power batteries. And essentially, these arks were power batteries that were used in the pyramids. So, take it for what it's worth. The Ark of the Covenant itself is a special ark, but there are arks like it that are all over the world. There's a reason why you've seen more than one ark. There's one ark that's in Africa that was covered by 60 Minutes that exists in that region of Africa that's guarded by there's two villagers that are picked from birth to guard. And I don't know if you've ever seen this story, Mallie.
No, I
It's a
didn't.
famous story. There are 2 villagers that are always picked from birth to guard this ark, and that's all they do. And they're there from birth to death.
Okay.
And they essentially, I believe, from the unique radiation that these arcs give off, these men die of cancer.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what they almost always pass from.
So their lifespan is shorter than the average man?
Yes.
Got it.
And they go in knowing this.
Oh, okay.
They go in knowing that they're serving a higher and holy purpose. But they do it anyways. But they know they're chosen by God. That this is their purpose. Is to guard the ark. And they believe, every one of these villagers believes that this is the one and true only Ark of the Covenant.
Okay.
Although it's not believed to be the one and only true Ark of the Covenant. But then again, like our friend Timothy Hogan says, there's more than one.
Okay.
So you believe what you choose to believe. I believe it's one of those 13.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a purpose. So what those men are doing is probably a noble cause. They're truly guarding something special. Whether it's worth their life,
Yeah.
I would debate. But there's been men over centuries that have lost their lives guarding that treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks exactly like the biblical Ark of the Covenant.
Okay.
Right down to we're talking right down to the ornamental everything. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
It looks exactly like the biblical Ark of the Covenant. But I have a feeling most of these 13 arks look the same.
Okay.
So, yeah. It's fascinating. It's all fascinating. But who knows? Speaking of fascinating stuff, last week we talked about this lost city that our friend Mike Ricksecker was talking about online.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposedly under the Pyramid of Giza. And I had mentioned it won't take long. Give it time. It won't take long for the antiquities department to get involved. And you had mentioned something about how long do you think it will take for them to put shovels to dirt? How long do you think it will take for them to dig? And I had said something about a year, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be longer. The headline here is Controversy as Pyramid Lost City Scientists Clash with Zahi Hawass. The claim that there's a vast city beneath the pyramids of Giza has become the center of some heated debate. Now, last week, we reported on the story that an international team of scientists had claimed that they discovered evidence of structures descending 6,000 feet beneath Egypt's pyramids of Giza. The discovery, which was made by researchers from Scotland's University of Strathclyde and Italy's University of Pisa, involved using radar pulses to create high-resolution images of the subsurface. Describing their find as groundbreaking, get it, groundbreaking, the team reportedly discovered 8 vertical cylindrical structures extending 2,100 feet beneath the ground and even more unidentified structures descending a further 4,000 feet below that. After the story broke in the press, however, it wasn't long before the team's findings had become the focus of significant criticism from various other researchers, archaeologists, and Egyptian Antiquities Ministry officials. One of the more prominent figures to play down the discovery was, of course, Zahi Hawass, who is Egypt's own Indiana Jones and a legendary archaeologist who has been involved in countless excavations. I would like to make a statement regarding the news that was published all over the world by a group of amateurs, he said. We called them a group of amateurs.
Those are fighting words.
Yes, they are. The news was under the pyramid of Khafra at Giza. They found a platform topped with pillars. All this information is completely wrong and has absolutely no scientific basis, Zahi Hawass went on to say. In addition, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquity did not give permission to any individuals or institutions to work inside or outside the second pyramid. Ooh. Oh my. The scientists themselves went on to respond to the criticism by emphasizing that they are, in fact, so certain of their discovery that the confidence level is above 85%. Ooh, Zahi, you're about to get served. Just saying. They reiterated that they had used a specialized algorithm and high-frequency electromagnetic waves to build up an image of what lies beneath the desert sands. Even so, experts remain unconvinced. To make correlation confidence levels, there needs to be something to correlate to or compare to, said Professor Lawrence Conyers, a radar expert at the University of Denver. What could that be there? Without that, these percentages are meaningless scientifically. So now there's doubt. So now they got to back it up. Now, if you remember, the story last week said something about, well, maybe there's not a city there. Maybe there's burial chambers, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe we cut the difference here. And it's not necessarily a city, but maybe there is some burial chambers. Before you start putting shovel to dirt, maybe you actually need more images taken of that area, more ground penetrating radar to figure out what exactly is there. Now, my question is if Zahi Hawass is so dead set against saying there's something there, then I think there's something there. My thought is he doesn't want you touching that for one reason or another. I think there's something there.
But why wouldn't he want them to touch it? Is it because he wants the recognition and the fame for it?
Yes. Yeah, he wants to be the one to discover it.
Gotcha.
He wants the name. He wants the recognition. And of course, if there's something to be found there, he wants not only the credits, but I think there might be some sort of dollar amount on the take.
Oh, okay.
Plus, I mean, let's face it. If it's Egypt that discovers it and it's country's pride for, let's face it, if another academic or academia comes in and discovers it, it's embarrassing for Egypt, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, but I mean, in the interest of science, if you have two teams from out of town, Italy and Sweden or wherever they're from, come in and say, well, we want to excavate. First of all, Egypt's never going to put up with that. It has to be a local crew that does this. And they're never going to want them to take full credit for finding this. First of all, Zahi Hawass has to be involved. It's just going to be a crooked excavation to begin with.
Yeah.
And then you're going to wonder how much they're going to allow them to find, right? And if there's a big discovery, surprise, Zahi Hawass is the one who found it. And you wonder what it is they're hiding already, right?
Right.
So the fact that he comes out and says, well, there's nothing there. Well, how do we know there's nothing there? I think he'll say there's nothing there. And then surprise, surprise, when he steered them away from the issue, we'll find out eventually there is something there. And he'll tell us, well, no, there's burial chambers there. And this is how we know, because here we actually have an ancient map and this is what it is. But we don't want to disturb it because of this. And then he'll come up with the ancient history behind it. And we don't disturb it because of ancient tradition or local tradition or, we believe there's a curse or something like that. We'll get some sort of answer to it, but it'll be a cultural reason.
Gotcha.
So Yeah, I think that's what's going on here. So, all right, our next story has to do with sightings of the, and I'm going to butcher this, so get ready here, Mel. Sightings of the enigmatic Mokele Mbembe are reportedly on the rise. I don't know. I just think it's the Mokele dinosaur. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. It looks like a dinosaur, as far as I can tell. An increasing number of people claim to have witnessed a dinosaur-like creature in the forests of the Congo Basin. It's said to resemble the size and shape of a giant sauropod dinosaur. The legendary creature is now locally known as Mokele Mbembe, who sounds like a third baseman for the New York Mets. Just saying. He's been sighted in the Congo Basin for decades. One of the earliest account of the creature came courtesy of German Captain Ludwig Freiherr von Stein zu Lausnitz. My German sucks, by the way. Who had heard stories of the Mokele Mbembe from local villagers during a 1913 survey of German colonies in what was now modern-day Cameroon. While descriptions varied, the creature was said to be an enormous reptile around the size of an elephant with a long, flexible neck, a horn on its head, and a long alligator-like tail. It was also said to live in caves, and although it was known to kill people, it was entirely vegetarian. What's wrong with that picture?
It's a vegetarian, but it kills people.
Oh, it'll kill you, but it'll leave you next to its salad.
Right.
Yeah. People's is weird. Well, the legend of the Mokele Mbembe, I know I'm pronouncing it different every time, has faded into obscurity over the decades. In more recent years, it seems as though the creature has been sighted a lot more frequently. But what is behind this sudden resurgence, and could the creature actually be real? Some believe that this otherwise inexplicable increase in sightings is most likely down to increasing amounts of deforestation in the Congo Basin. Animals of all sorts are being displaced, and inevitably this means that they're encountering human settlements a lot more often. Perhaps some of these encounters have been misinterpreted as sightings of the creature. Then again, perhaps there really is a large unknown creature lurking in the forests. Without definitive physical evidence, however, we will likely never know for sure. That is until the Mokele Mbembe decides to put you on top of its salad. Then you'll know for sure. Yeah. Until it dices you up and says, "Get on my salad." You have no idea. Right. Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture here, Mel.
Okay.
And see if you remember this little door in Antarctica. You remember this picture?
Yep.
Now, everybody thought, oh, there's that mysterious door in Antarctica. It's got to be a portal to nowhere. It's got to be a portal to a different place, right? I mean, why would there be a door in Antarctica? It's got to be a portal to a different dimension, or it's got to be a door that leads you right to China, or it's got to be a right. It's got to be a door to the center of the earth. There's got to be people living in the center of the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
No. Here's what the image really shows. Does a Google Earth satellite image of a door in Antarctica really show an entrance to a secret base? That's the other thing.
Yes, that's the one I've heard.
Right. I tell you what, I can't tell you what it shows because it's a video. So I'm going to post it because I'm a giant tease. I'm going to post it in the description of this program. You can watch a video and see for yourself what exactly that door is. I know. You're going to say, Tim, you're a goddamn tease. Yes, I am. But I will tell you what I will tell you.
Uh-huh.
Is that confusing, Mel? I will tell you what I will tell you. There's a weird skeletal mermaid that was found washed up on a beach in Margate, England.
Okay.
Do you believe mermaids are real?
Not really.
No?
Uh-uh.
You don't think that they actually existed at one time or another?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, no, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No.
I have a hard time believing it too, but you never know. Let me get to the story and we'll see what to believe here. A couple who had been walking along the sands were shocked to discover something very strange indeed. Paula and Dave Regan had been strolling along the beach in Margate on March 10th when they came across an utterly bizarre spectacle that could be perhaps best be described as a skeletal mermaid. The beach was completely empty, so it really stood out, Paula told Kent Online. At first, I thought it was a bit of a driftwood or maybe a dead seal because I could see these funny tail fin things. When we got up to it, it was the weirdest thing. For the life of me, I can't tell you what it was. The head looked skeletal, but the back part, where the fishtail was soft and squishy. It didn't feel slimy or decomposed, but it was definitely strange. Before long, a small crowd had gathered and people had begun speculating over what it would be. Some thought it might have fallen off a boat, while others suggested it could be a figurehead from a ship, like one of those carved mermaids, said Paula. All that could really be determined for certain was that the creature was artificially constructed. Exactly who made it and how it had ended up on the beach, however, still remained a mystery. And it says that you can see images of the strange find below. I tell you what, let me show you a picture here of what exactly I'm looking at. And you tell me, Mallie, you tell me. You tell me what the hell this is.
That looks fake.
Does it look fake?
Yeah.
It kind of does a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You tell me, Mallie. You know, I was a Navy SEAL, Mallie. You tell me. Yeah, it kind of does a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Mermaids are fake. I gave up. All right, with that, we need a palate cleanser, don't we?
Yeah.
Yep, so here's how we're going to end today's program. I told you it was about fast food, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your favorite fast food? I'll just throw that out first.
I would say either Five Guys or Chick-fil-A.
Ooh, okay, so there's a burger in there.
Yeah.
Five Guys are, that's good fast food. I like, you know, I find myself gravitating towards Chick-fil-A more and more. Mm-hmm. They have good chicken, and it's, except for they're never open on Sundays.
Correct. Because the guy's Baptist.
That's right. Five Guys is really good as well. Mm-hmm. They make a darn good burger.
Yeah, they do.
There's something to be said about the old standbys, though, Mal.
Like Mickey D's?
Yep. Do you remember Morgan Spurlock?
Is that the guy that did the, what was that? It was...
He made that movie.
Yeah, where he had to have McDonald's every single day.
Yep. You know, he passed away, was it a year or two ago?
Yep.
Yeah. I want to think that maybe McDonald's killed him.
No, I thought it was cancer or something like that.
It was, but you can't eat McDonald's every day. You know, you just can't without it having some effect on you.
Yeah.
Remember,
because didn't he gain like a lot of weight?
He did. He gained a lot of weight and then he had to lose it.
Yeah.
Remember, it was Ice Cube that sang, he sang the line, "Got to serve you food that might give you cancer because my kid won't take no for an answer."
Mm.
And he was singing
Wasn't
about
it like Super Size?
Super Size Me. Yep, that was the name of the movie, Super Size Me. That's right.
Yeah, I watched that because he like puked it up a couple times.
Yes. Yes, if you ever get a chance to watch the movie, I don't think it's still on Netflix, but it's on some of the services out there. You can still see it.
because I think that's where I saw it was Netflix.
Yeah, and I know it might be on YouTube. I think you can still find it on YouTube. Well, there's one man out there who's trying to prove all of it wrong.
Okay.
He's trying to prove that you can't eat McDonald's every day and you can still be healthy. There's a man who holds a bizarre record for most number of Big Macs eaten in a lifetime.
Oh.
Yeah. The Guinness World Records has officially confirmed the outrageous number of McDonald's burgers one man has eaten. Most doctors and nutritionists would likely recommend against eating too many burgers, but it hasn't stopped Donald Gorski. He's 71 years old. I'm going to give you a guess as to where this man lives.
Minnesota.
You're close.
Wisconsin.
You got it. Of course, Donald Gorski lives in Wisconsin. He's eaten 2 Big Macs every day of his life since 1972, Mallie.
Wow.
Think about that for a minute. That is 2 Big Macs every year for 52 years. He first earned the world record for most Big Macs eaten back in 1999 and has continued to maintain that record ever since. It's believed that he has now eaten more than 35,000 of the burgers.
Oh.
You know who hates him probably more than his wife? His colon probably hates him more than his wife. Bizarrely, he even tried collecting all the empty containers in his attic, but quickly ran out of space back in 2006, and now stacks them up to the ceiling in his basement.
Why is he collecting the containers? That's a fire hazard.
Well,
that's a hoarder thing.
Remember, they were styrofoam to begin with?
Oh, yeah.
And then they went to cardboard?
But why would you collect them?
Pride? Because every serial killer needs a souvenir? I don't know.
Well, nowadays, you get a burger and it's like $7.
Yeah. You know, it's hard to. I think we were talking about this on a past show. It's hard to order anything at McDonald's below $10.
Yeah.
So if you're ordering 2 Big Macs a day,
yeah,
that's what that's a little over $10, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be
probably.
Now, one advantage of his strange diet is that he doesn't need to cook anything. He and his wife have a cooker in their house that looks practically brand new, and it's barely been used in 50 years. Think about that.
It's probably a fire hazard to turn on the oven with all that paper and styrofoam.
Probably.
Jeez Louise.
Incredibly, Gorski doesn't seem to have suffered any ill effects either and maintains that he still has normal blood pressure and cholesterol levels.
Huh.
His blood is probably grease, though.
Yeah.
Even so, he warns against anyone else attempting to beat his record. For somebody to want to do that, you're going to have to eat Big Macs for 50 years, and you're going to have to really like Big Macs, he said. It's such an easy thing for me to do because I already do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
He went on to say. I'm going to show you a picture of Mr. Gorski right here. Chowing on a Big Mac. There he is right there.
Oh, boy.
Isn't he loving it? Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Maybe he's got that thing where he likes to have the same thing over and over. You know how there's people that they don't want to think outside the box. They just like to eat the same thing every day.
Yes, he's definitely a creature of habit.
Right.
Way too much of a habit. Mm-hmm. I would say it's an OCD thing.
Yeah, yeah. I remember once reading a story how University of Minnesota did a study on people eating White Castle. I think it was like in the 1950s.
Okay, if you ate that much White Castle, I'm sorry, your colon would fall out of your body.
Yeah, I don't remember what, but I remember being surprised that, was it they lost weight? It was something unusual the findings, and I don't remember what it was.
You would have to lose weight. You'd shit yourself blind.
True.
Eating that
oh my
much
God,
White
the
Castle.
morning after, the room stink.
Oh,
Because we used to stop there after investigating.
oh,
Oh my
you
God.
would smell disgusting. It would just
Yeah.
radiate out of you.
I always got the chicken sandwiches. I couldn't deal with the burgers because I don't like onions. But anyway, yeah, there was some study that the University of Minnesota did on White Castles, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway,
God.
but yeah, they had everyone eat White Castle burgers.
How would you live with yourself? I mean,
Ugh.
you couldn't.
Maybe because it's you don't smell it as much.
How could you not smell yourself after eating that much White Castle?
I don't know.
You would smell like a pungent fart everywhere you walked. It would be horrible. You know, I need a
I do like their crinkle fries though.
Yeah, their crinkle fries are good. And their shakes are good, but
Yeah.
my God. You know what? I need a palate cleanser from our palate cleanser. Should we do a Parashare to go out today?
Sure.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Rachel writes in. She says, "Hey, Tim, I might have a Parashare, not sure what to make of it exactly. I had 2 kittens I had gotten from someone I was dating back in 2010. A male, 6 to 7 month old, brown, black, and white. His name was Ziggy. Baby was a 67-week-old gray fluffball, female. 16 years later, Ziggy had gotten really sick and was admitted into the animal hospital. He needed antibiotics due to an infection somewhere, steroids to help with the inflammation, IV fluids due to dehydration, and then insulin from becoming diabetic from the steroids, plus an appetite stimulant. Very sick, not sure if he was going to make it. Several months later, he fully recovered. I was so happy. Ziggy was a mama's boy and always by my side throughout all the hard times, joyous moments, etc. Fast forward to June, last of year. I knew something was off with Ziggy. I couldn't place my finger on it. One day he was on my lap and I kept thinking to myself, I knew something was wrong with him. I wished he could just tell me. Then a thought popped into my mind. There's something in his chest. Another week or 2, I have to bring him to the vet. Ziggy's breathing was off. Seemed labored. I was devastated to find out Ziggy had fluid in his lungs and a mass in his chest, likely cancer. Several days later, I helped him cross over the Rainbow Bridge. Immediately after his passing, while I'm laying in bed, I swear I can feel him jump on the end of the bed. I look, and baby is already fast asleep next to me. There's no other kitty there. Makes me wonder, is that him visiting me? Did Ziggy tell me what was wrong the day when he was in my lap? She says, below is a picture of Ziggy enjoying his last day outside. And I'll show you that picture here, Mel. Said, Tim, thank you and your co-hosts for all that you do, Rachel. Here's that picture of Ziggy right there, if you're watching on video.
Aww.
So.
Those little white paws.
I think that was Ziggy.
Yes.
That was jumping up and just letting you know, Rachel, that Ziggy's with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I think absolutely they let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
They let you know that they're there and that they're not very far away from you at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we'll leave you on that note today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rather than with Big Macs and White Castles. I can't do that to you today. I thought I could, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. What's going on in Paranormal Girls world?
I finally got the molasses. I picked it up last night, finally.
Great.
I don't know why it was so hard to find molasses. So in the next couple of days, I'm going to try out these morning cookie recipe.
Wonderful. All right.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll look forward to that.
Yeah. What's going on with you?
Well, here on the big program, oh boy, we got a good show going tomorrow. Tomorrow, an excellent show. Found an author I think you guys are really going to enjoy. There is a book out there that we're going to talk about tomorrow here on the big program. That I know you guys, you love your horror stories. You love these supernatural stories that kind of grab you by the throat and won't let you go. There's a book out there that I'm going to turn you guys on to tomorrow. And we have a new author on the program. I know they're few and far between. And I know you guys, you read a lot of, let's face it, you read a lot of junk, right? There's a lot of books out there that are just plain junk. But this guy, when I started reading his book, I was absolutely enthralled with a lot of these stories. And the way he writes is a lot like Rod Serling. He's got Rod Serling in there. There's a feel of Stephen King. And he's got these twists in his stories that will grab you by the throat and won't let you go. Name of the book is Bedtime Stories for the Monster in Your Closet. Our guest tomorrow is C.D. Thorne. And boy, oh boy, I guarantee you're going to love this book. I'm going to send Mallie a copy tonight so she can read it. It isn't required reading for Mallie. It's just if she enjoys it, she can read it. But I really enjoyed the book. I really, really enjoyed the book. So I think you guys are going to enjoy it as well. Bedtime Stories for the Monster in Your Closet tomorrow on the big program. So it's good stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah. And we got some good shows coming up here in April. So really looking forward to it. We're going to, the week after, I'm going to tease the week after. I don't normally do this.
Okay.
Haunted bathrooms.
Haunted bathrooms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we're going a little strange in April. We're going a little off the beaten path here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I've had some freaky experiences in bathrooms, a couple of them. Not like that.
I don't need to hear about it, Mel.
No, like ghostly encounters.
We're close. We don't need to be that close.
No, I'm talking about ghostly encounters.
Oh, ghostly encounters. Okay.
Yeah. I had one at the Palmer.
Okay.
And then I had one in Virginia City.
Yeah.
Strangest thing of all places, the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about it next week.
Okay. Perv.
We'll find out exactly why next week. Yeah. So, see, I'm bringing up the pertinent questions on this show.
Yes. Yes.
Just saying. Can't ask for more than that, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Someone finally wrote a book about it.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that'll do it for today. A couple of reminders. The Apple app for iOS is not only out there, but updated. So go get it. Darkness Radio app for Apple. Update it or go get it. One or the other. If you're not currently subscribed on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Podcatcher, or the 17 other apps we're on, go get the Darkness Radio app. We'd appreciate it. The store at darknessradioshow.com. Go buy something from the store. Help support the program. We'd appreciate that as well. Also, if you want to be an executive producer here on the show and help us out that way, you can do so by email me, tim@darknessradio.com. We want to thank Troy Palmer, who is the executive producer of today's program. Thank you for everything you do, Troy. We greatly appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much for everything you do. And I know there's one other. Oh, yes. If you're watching the show on video, you can find us, the original Darkness Radio, on YouTube. Also, if you don't know how to find us on YouTube, there's an easy way to find the video in general. Go to darknessradioshow.com for the show you want to see on video, and just click on the show that you want to see, and you'll see the video and audio link. If there is a video link, it's just right there. It's all on the same show. Click on that video and it'll take you to the video. And then, of course, if you just click on the little picture of my face, it'll take you to the YouTube page, and you can subscribe and like and subscribe from there. We need you to subscribe to the page. I sounded very Cosby like that. We need you to subscribe to the page.
Pudding pop.
Pudding pop in the page and subscribe because we need you in the page. Yes, we want you to subscribe to the page. So soon enough, we'll find a way to get you to be not just a regular subscriber, but we'll have some membership benefits as well. So we'll find a way to get you nice, neat little prizes to be a subscriber over there as well. So we're trying to find new ways to get you nice stuff. So
very nice.
Yeah. So we'll do that as well. And that's the other thing, Mel. We're coming up with little incentives for our listeners. So I'm coming up with little things. So I've been discussing that with friends, neighbors, and imaginary people that come into my life. In other words, just discussing it with me and the Chipmunks. It's me and the Chipmunks. We get together and we discuss things about the show. So the Chipmunks have really good ideas about incentives for you guys. I bet you didn't know Chipmunks were inventive like that. Boy, there's no response from Mallie. She's like, you need a vacation, pal.
I was like, we almost made the whole show.
Yeah, without talking about chipmunks. But they have really good ideas, Mallie, about incentives for our listeners. So you wouldn't believe. Boy, oh boy. On that note, I need to go take my Valium. I think it's time for us to end the show. So tomorrow on the big show, CD Thorne, bedtime stories for the monster in your closet. I need to go take my drugs now. We'll see you tomorrow for CD Thorne right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. For Mallie Fox, I'm Tim Dennis. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for Darkness Radio.